Is that what it is? You brought the sunshine into the room.
Welcome to the Borough Swissvale regular council meeting for June 5th, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Before I go to roll call, I just want to let everyone know, whether they are elected officials and staff or folks for public comment, that we only have one of our normal cameras, so it's going to be important to speak loudly so that the camera can pick up our voices for the live stream. Let's move on to roll call. Ms. Alfonso Wells. Present. Mr. Haynes.
Kevin Haynes, present.
Mr. Miser is not here. Mr. Quinn is not here. Ms. Stribling. Present. Ms. Swartzwelder. Here. And Mayor Swartzwelder. Here. Our first item on the agenda is a presentation by Allegheny County District 8 Council Member Michelle Nakaradi-Chakas.
Very kind. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be with all of you. I wonder if there's a way to do this that my back is to all of you as well. I don't know.
It's better for the camera and the mic.
Better for the, okay, I'll try to project so that because you're behind me. I'll speak and let me know if you can't hear. It's nice to be with all of you. Thank you for having me. There's lots going on in the county, and some of you may have been at ALOM, some of you may not have. So with 13 municipalities in the district, I thought let's try and get out a little bit and give everybody an update about what's happening from county council perspective. You can see, hear, and share information with me. I have business cards if anybody has questions afterward, because I don't want to take up too much time from your meeting. But I did write down all of these things because there's so many ordinances and things that apply to all of you in the community that I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So with that said, let's start with probably the one thing that is on everybody's mind that they usually have questions about, rightly so, and it's reassessments. So let's start there. So as you know, the solicitor for the City of Pittsburgh School District has sued in the Court of Common Pleas to force Allegheny County to complete a reassessment of property values. So right now, based upon what we know, it's anticipated that the City of Pittsburgh School District will win in court and the county will begin preparing for a reassessment. While there most likely will be little to no role for us as county council members, we still want to hear from residents on this issue. It affects all of us, and it's an important thing for us to have an opportunity to learn more about. On May 22nd, to that end, we had a public hearing to hear residents' concerns and input. We had experts present at that meeting, and so that's all available online. We had people locally and then from across the state who have gone through the reassessment process or in the process of doing that to share their experience so we could learn from them. So I'm happy to leave with all of you. I can send it around afterward, the link to access that video so that you can see it as well. The lawsuit was precipitated by another known as the Joffrey case, which challenged the common level ratio, also known as the CLR that you may have heard about, those numbers that were submitted to the state by the previous administration. The CLR is used when appeals are made. If the CLR is high, it means that homeowners are paying more than they should. So the next three ordinances discussed with you this evening in this regard, it's really to help address the issues with assessing and reassessing at the county level. So there's one, the first one is 12915-24. This was an ordinance that was passed in April where it speaks to the chief assessment officer at the county. So with the county on the verge of this reassessment, council felt that it was important to assure that the county's chief assessment officer has more oversight and accountability in the process. So this person will be hired by the county manager in the administration with approval by county council, just like the county manager and the solicitor are approved by council. So this CAO, the Chief Assessment Officer, will also provide quarterly reports to council so that we are more engaged in that process and getting information. 12917-24, this ordinance permits board members of the Board of Property Assessment Appeal and Review to hear appeals as long as training is completed. So we want to ensure that those people who are hearing those appeals are skilled in that work and know how to do it. So this should help expedite the ability for the homeowner appeals to be heard in a reasonable time. And then last is 12918-24. This mandates a specific timeline, 60 days, by which the homeowner appeals will be decided. So this ensures very timely appeal process to keep everything moving forward. Moving onward, 12916-24. This is the Volunteer Fire and Emergency Service Tax Credit Ordinance, which I'm sure you have already heard about. This provided volunteer firefighter and emergency service workers up to a $500 tax credit on their primary residence related to their county property taxes. Each volunteer must meet certain criteria. That criteria is right now being drafted by the Emergency Management Services at the county. The school districts had the opportunity to use that tax credit as well. They could adopt if they chose to. Municipalities also have the ability to have a tax credit, but the county started with the $500 credit. More information will be coming related to criteria. As soon as it becomes available, we'll share it with all of you. And that really helps to try and think about incentivizing more opportunities to get volunteer firefighters. We recognize that's a huge shortage across the state. Also, would love to hear from the fire chief. This is your wheelhouse. Any ideas that you may have that county council can help with, certainly pass those along. 12952-24. This is the establishment of a complete streets plan by the end of this year, 2024. And complete streets is a term used to describe a road network designed for all users to really have a means to advance mobility across communities. This is land use goals by increasing workforce mobility options, encouraging compact development patterns, spurring improved health and safety, encouraging local economic activity, enhancing neighborhood character, et cetera. And so this is now being reviewed by the county administration. They're providing some feedback and input to that. We have national coalitions that are interested in this effort too, and they're providing some insights. Welcome to hear from municipalities as well. It's been tabled, it's in committee, so that we can work through something that would be amenable to everyone. Couple more, County Health Department update to Article 6. Article 6 is the public health code that guides public health all across the county, and it speaks to housing and community environment. So one of the key components of this regulation is the establishment of an advisory committee. So this will advise the Board of Health on housing issues. Housing issues affect all of us across the county. So the regulations hadn't been updated since 1997. All of you can think about where you were in 1997. It was a pretty long time ago. A lot of updates need to be made to comply with best practices. And so this Housing Advisory Council will be made up of experts, but also people with lived experience, people with interest in the space, housing advocates, to really provide input on all of the changes that are needed to Article 6. So that passed unanimously on June 4th. And then another ordinance, getting back to property owners, this just passed on June 4th. It changes the time frame of when property owners would file an appeal. So getting back to the reassessment in just a bit here. Currently, the deadline is March 31st. We're the only county in the state that has that deadline. All of the other counties have an earlier deadline that aligns with planning from a municipal perspective for budgeting. So this ordinance changes the deadline to September 1st, meaning that you'll know what your property tax bill will be for the next year and can help with that timing. So every other county, as I mentioned, has this September 1st deadline. It's kind of a housekeeping issue. We saw this, recognized it was a need for change. And so now we're in compliance and we're on the same timeline as everybody else. Boards and commissions, as with all new administrations, there's openings for boards and commissions all across the county. Think about it as there's one that is the health department, regional transit, the Port Authority, minority and women-owned businesses, human relations, all of those different councils and commissions are out there, including economic development boards and et cetera. And those all go to county council for approval. And we encourage people to apply. So it's really easy. You can either fill out a nomination form or you could submit a resume, check out all the opportunities. I encourage everybody in District 8 to get involved. And if you're interested, let me know and I can put you into the right direction for how to find that information. Let's skip over to two more quick items because I know that you have a full meeting. Schumann. And I'm sure you hear a lot about that. So let's just talk a little bit about what's happening in that space. As you are likely aware, the Schumann Juvenile Center Detention Center was closed for a couple of years by the state. It's been the desire of many across the county to get this reopened. Renovations have been ongoing. It's anticipated that a pod for 12 juveniles will open probably by the end of June. We took a tour of it just a couple of weeks ago. Progress is being made. It's looking actually pretty good. So it's anticipated that the entire facility will then end up reopening at some point in the distant future, housing a total of up to 60 juveniles. So I just want to note that there is litigation happening right now about how the contract was signed. The contract was entered into without county council approval. County council has to approve use of property that county owns. So that's being worked out through the legal system. So this is just the context of some continuing legal proceedings that are being worked on at the moment. And then last but not least, Allegheny County 911 communication upgrades. Some of you may have heard about this. They're moving to a contract with Motorola to create a whole new countywide system. The system right now is a patchwork system. And so this is a way to integrate all municipal and county 911 systems, many of which are nearing the end of their contracts. And so that's happening now. And that'll probably take about a good 2 years to get into place and to be adopted. So that looks at nearly 400 public safety agencies, regional county partners in the state, who will all be coming together to, have a comprehensive system and that to be managed at the county level. So let's stop there because that was plenty, probably more than you wanted. I can provide a summary in an email too, if that's helpful for any members who aren't present. It's nice to be with you. Let me know if you have any questions, concerns, your immediate needs. It's an email away, right? Thank you. And if I don't have an answer, I'll get it to you, but let's try.
So on the Schumann Center.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I would ask that you supported the previous workforce or previous union that was there before, the previous union workforce.
So the question was related to Schumann, asking that I support the previous workforce and union that was in place. Here's the complicated nature of this. That was when it was run by a county agency under Department of Human Services. And right now, the previous administration entered into a contract with Adelphia. So we don't have that flexibility at the moment to do that.
We're working with
So
my day job.
So your day job, we can talk about that. We'll see what happens with the contract. It's in place, it's signed. It is, I believe, a 5-year contract. So we'll see what happens next.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will take your card and I'll contact you.
Okay, great. I have it over here. You're welcome. Thank you. You can text me. Okay.
Thank you
If
so much.
anybody in the audience has any questions, feel free to stop by. Thank you for the time. That's generous of you.
Thank you for the update. We're going to move on to public comment. We have 4 public comments. The first is Johann Gutenschuh. Jennifer Colbert, are you going to come up as well? Together. Right.
Good evening. I'm Johan Gutenschuh. I live at 7618 Roslyn Street. I'd like to address a topic from last week's agenda meeting. Mr. Batchy spoke about concerns the Director of Program Operations at the Tri-Cog Land Bank brought to him about the property they acquired at 219 South Braddock Ave. From what Mr. Batchy said, it seems that the request for the borough donating the vacant lot at 2107 South Braddock Ave seems to rest on the difficulty in attracting a buyer for the property, as there is, and I quote, no on-street parking, there's no alley behind it, and there's no off-street parking for this house, and they don't have anybody interested in purchasing it because there's just no access. Okay, the house is on South Braddock Ave where there is no on-street parking. Honestly, though, the other points don't reflect reality. I'm living on Rosslyn Street, just around the corner from 2109 South Braddock Ave, which is also less than a block from where the borough building stood. I can tell you that there's not only an alley that runs behind this property, but there's also a parking pad, if the overgrowth was cleared, could allow up to 2 vehicles. Mind you, the condition of this property, which has sat abandoned for more than a decade, leaves a lot to be desired. The retaining wall for the parking pad should be reinforced, a new slab should be poured, and really, the house appears to be in worse condition than some listed by the borough to be demolished. But there is off-street parking connected to an alley, which is accessible between 7607 and 7609 Rosslyn Street. As LeVar Burton famously said, you don't have to take my word for it. Here's the Google Maps satellite image of the property. Here is the alley that runs behind the property. And as you can see, there's actually a car that's parked on a parking pad behind the property. Now it's also anecdotal. I don't have photos of this, but while visiting a neighbor who lives adjacent to the actually existing alley with a car with several members of the land bank parked on said parking pad when they came to put up a sign when they had taken ownership of the property. So I find the claim that the land bank having trouble finding a buyer due to the lack of parking access to be disingenuous. After hearing the concerns about the supposed difficulty finding a buyer, I reached out to the land bank to request a showing of the property, even though it's not on their website. The response stated, this property is currently not listed for sale, and we have just acquired it, and it must take it through some legal and other processes in order to ready it for sale. Now, I don't pretend to know the land bank's process. Perhaps they acquire properties with particular buyers in mind for quicker turnover. But to hear that they're having trouble finding a buyer when someone from the same organization says that the property is not on the market, it comes off as a bit odd. I mean, maybe the director of program operations and the real estate marketing manager aren't on the same page. But requesting the donation of an additional lot because they can't find a buyer for a house that's in condition where it should likely be torn down, when the reason given, the lack of parking, isn't accurate, and the property isn't even listed for sale. I would implore the borough to have even a fraction of 1% of the concern that was shown during the months and months of deliberations over the pollinator garden to look into the request for a parcel of land to be given before enthusiastically saying, oh, sure, let's go ahead and do this. So the other thing that I would like to express was that the council seemed to be quite in favor of passing this property along free of charge because we wouldn't have to mow the grass anymore. Well, first off, within the past couple of weeks, DPW was mowing not only the 2107 vacant lot, they were also mowing the front lawn of the property that's owned by the land bank. So the fact that they're supposed to be maintaining it and the borough supposedly not having to mow it, I just kind of wonder about that. I mean, I don't know what the situation is with that, but regardless. Secondly, at least a few neighbors and I have previously requested information on how to purchase vacant lots from the borough, yet no one has ever gotten back to us. I mean, if all it takes for council to be enthusiastically willing to give away property is to not have to mow grass, where do I sign up? But seriously, it would be appreciated if someone would get back to myself and others about the process of purchasing borough owned lots for future consideration. And again, I would ask that you do due diligence before deciding to give away child lots. Please.
I've got some more I'm pretty much saying the same thing, so you could move on to the next one. But that's, I don't know if there's another comment you can.
They printed 7, but.
Yeah.
That's around what comments. Let's move on to the next public comment, John Gilderoy.
If I stand over here, does the camera pick me up and people can still?
Probably.
Okay, and I will try to speak loud. By way of introduction, my name is John Gilderoy, and I own 2 properties here in Swissvale and 6 properties in Rankin, 5 of which are located on Chartiers Avenue. I am addressing this letter to council due to the joint project, nature of the project of your borough and Rankin on the proposed extension of the bikeway into this area. A similar letter will be forwarded to Rankin. On May 14th, 2024, Rankin Council met, and only during public comment portion of the council meeting was Chartier Avenue and the bikeway extension into the area even mentioned. And this was by Swissvale Council member Ms. Schwartzwalder. As I was present at this meeting, I can report that no formal action was taken, and I raised objection at the meeting for such use of Chartiers Avenue. There was no overwhelming support for the project at the meeting, and as I own 5 of the 23 homes on Chartiers, I can report that residents were not aware that this project is now going to affect our street. It is our understanding that the original project was approved by joint council some time ago and to use Benwood Road, not Chartiers Avenue. I began to inform the neighbors of what I had heard at the Rankin Council meeting, at what I heard at the Rankin Council meeting by letter and sent a letter of opposition to Rankin Council. But I was informed that on May 20th of 2024 at approximately 8:30 a.m. at the Swissvale Borough Building, several members of Rankin Council met to discuss this project, including, I was told, Mr. Botke. I wasn't there. Later that same morning, about 10 a.m., I met with Mr. Botke and stated the resistance of the residents of Chartiers to this project and requested a map of it. Not 4 hours later, on May 20th, that same day, I found the bottom of Chartiers had been bulldozed open. Questioning the excavator crew boss, I was told that Mr. Botke had given him orders that morning to open the street and stop using Benwood and use Chartiers Avenue instead. After that, for 2 days, the excavators and lowboys used the Chartiers Street for access, and they were also running 30-ton triaxle loads of stone up and down. At this point, I used one of my trucks to block the access down there so it couldn't be used. I began contacting several Rankin Council members who stated they did not agree with anything officially on May 14th and did not know what was happening with the project. It is my understanding that there are only 5 members on Rankin Council, elected or appointed, although there should be 7. It is also my understanding that the number of council members are new and unfamiliar with the project as previously approved. Additionally, I have been attending Rankin Council meetings for many months. There was no, actually here, this part here, the engineer is going to dispute that our conversation ever happened. Additionally, I've been attending the council meetings, and there was mention that the bikeway project approaching Chartiers. That was I heard that hearsay. I approached the engineer after the meeting, and the engineer from Glen Engineering told me not to bother upsetting my neighbors, that they might use Chartiers. That this probably wouldn't have anything, doing with this wouldn't happen till phase 2 or 3, and that could take a couple of years. My question to Swissvale Council, which as well will be forwarded to Rankin. Did Swissvale Council agree to deviate from the original plans with a formal motion or vote? For the last 40 years, Chartiers Avenue has been a dead-end street. Were Chartiers residents notified of the possibility of bike and parking issues with Cary Furnace events? What types of studies were done for noise, traffic, and how the quality of life will be affected? Were there public meetings held on the proposals with all the residents of the area notified? There is a playground, a daycare, and an elderly and long-term residents with children playing in the street. Normally, approximately 10 cars use that street a day. And how will this affect that? Is there, if there was no formal motion and no vote taken at the Rankin Council meeting on the 14th, can a meeting at the Swissvale Borough Building with a few Rankin Council members be considered appropriate due to the sunshine laws? I'm not asking for answers. I'm just asking that people look at this and the Swissvale Council in particular.
If I could ask you, Mr. Gilbert, thank you for coming here. Of the 5 houses you own on the street, how many do you reside in?
One. I'm not absentee. I live there.
And the rest are renters?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to understand completely.
And I have properties here in Swissvale as well. I was a lifelong resident. And I moved to this street because of the quality of the area. It's quiet. It's nice. We have a little playground, where I grew up is across from the Get-Go on Braddock Avenue, which is quite different from where I'm at now.
But I'm just asking because with 5 properties on a street.
Well, as they came up, I like the street. I like the environment. I bought the house.
You rent the rest of them?
Yes.
Just wanted to understand.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
all right. I appreciate your time, folks. This isn't my wheelhouse getting up here and addressing a group, but I appreciate your time, and I'll go sit down in the peanut gallery.
I do want to make one comment. It's not, if this is public comment, it's not public today, but I do want to address one of the questions. Specifically number 5, it says about meetings being held in violation of the Sunshine Act. I can say unequivocally it did not violate the Sunshine Act because there was no meeting held. I never met with any Rankin council members heard. And, you're telling my bosses that I did. I'm just setting the record straight. There was never a meeting with Rankin council.
Well, that was what I was told, that there had been a meeting up there. I don't know. That's why I said I didn't know, because I wasn't there. Okay. And,
Just get the facts straight.
I
report them to my boss.
now, the engineer disputes that he and I ever had this conversation after a meeting.
I'm gonna ask you to sit down, because
Okay.
that's not what happened. I was here when you had the conversation. He did not dispute, you had the conversation. He said that you misquoted. Okay, so I think there are some problems with the facts that have been presented to us.
Okay, well, you know what I have here, I'd like you to
Thank you, sir.
pay attention.
You've given it to us and we will look at it. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to Mary Miller with Psycho.
Maybe real quick, first of all, I want to thank the DPW for putting up all of our veterans banners again. They were taken down and they went back up. But I do have I have one issue, in that there's 60 brackets, 2 of them were broken. The banners went up and the brackets didn't get repaired. So like some of the banners, 2 of the banners got really, most of them are beautiful still. They'll last another 2 years. But some of them, they're all torn, and so we had to replace 2 banners, which is fine. Psycho paid for the banners. But it was $350 for 2 banners, and it was probably a $20 part that was broken on the bracket. So I just want to ask, since they're going to be up, if those 2 brackets get fixed at some point, so that we don't have an issue with any additional ones, because, people spend a lot of money, and so we want them to be nice, and we don't want, it looks bad for the borough if you have ratty things. So I do want to thank the DPW for cleaning them up. They look great, and everything is good, but just if we can make it a point to get those 2 fixed. Thank you. And I do want to make a request when we're doing the Monongah Hill streetscape. We already have a lot of requests for additional banners, people who missed out the first time because we didn't have enough rec. I understand there's going to be 9 new light posts, so.
Well, that's what was in the grant application. It could be 8, it could be 10, once we lay it out, possible. That's what.
So can I request that when you're getting the cost, that you look at what it would cost to get double brackets rather than singles, and just see if that would be something that we could do so that we can accommodate more people?
Yeah, I'm sure that would be.
Okay, yeah, that would be great if you can just do that. And then the only other thing is, I did want to say, thank you for, we noticed, we brought up some safety concerns with the windows at the auto glass and the left Blanco studio falling down in the CVS parking lot. And I see that all those are being taken care of, and it makes any difference when you go up on that street that, it doesn't look like it's falling apart. So thank you for having that taken care of.
All right, thank you for all who have made comments. We're gonna move on to item 5, our council actions. First is minutes, if someone would like to make some motions.
I move to approve the minutes of the April 22nd, 2024 council agenda meeting and the May 1st, 2024 council meeting.
Motion.
All right, motion is on the table. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move down to finance.
I move to approve the Borough of Swissvale paid bills in the amount of $355,262.14. Second.
Any discussion?
Pay the bills.
All right, all in favor of paying our bills, approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move down to donations, allocations, and contributions.
I move to allocate $1,000 of council discretionary funds to the Juneteenth celebration. Second.
Motion is on the table. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment on, ARPA funds in general, and I guess this falls under that. In that I don't believe in, allocating funds to, anything that is not permanent for the borough. Tents can be used multiple times, but it's questionable how many times those will be used. And we have already allocated ARPA funds to the Juneteenth celebration. I know that they put on a phenomenal celebration every year, but I think continuing to put money into this when we have projects such as Memorial Park or trying to get Woodstock, a playground down there, that we could be better using these funds.
Well, when we all were awarded the discretionary funds, it was definitely not the urgent what interest that each council member had. Sean Alfonso Wells, she actually has been the last one to even give of anything. So for her to actually want to sow into the Juneteenth funds, that says a lot about how committed she is to what this is bringing for the Juneteenth celebration, what it means to the Black community in Swissvale, and it will be, it's going to be ongoing. So for you to say that it's something that's going to be it's going to be ongoing, because as long as we continue to run for office, we're going to continue to have this type of program continue. So I would definitely be in support of these funds. You need it, and any other organization, company, or other programs that might come about might need these funds. I think it's important that that we have it and it's concrete, and we don't have to continue to be scraping around each year in order to make sure we have what's needed to make this a successful JT. So I am in full support of this.
So, first and foremost, Juneteenth is an extremely important celebration. Extremely important. It's something we all need to honor and to celebrate and to lift our communities up to celebrate. I am principally opposed to the use of temporary funds, a once in a generation funding stream going towards temporary projects. Tents are available for free at the Braddock Library. It's like checking out a book. You go down over the hill, you make arrangements, you pick up your tents, your tables, your chairs. Read Ready this past weekend, all of the stuff, everything that they used for the tents, the tables, and the chairs was free. Braddock Library has them. There are neighbors. I am not opposed to Juneteenth. I'm not opposed to resistance. I'm opposed to being awarded funds that we arbitrarily and uniquely give towards whatever project. I mean, we have to. Previous council's failure to use the ARPA funds efficiently is not the responsibility of the residents of Vernon. So for that reason, I move to table this motion.
Second, so we have discussion now on table the motion. The next point of order.
Motion to table will take precedence.
So we just vote to whether or not to table. Okay, let's go ahead and do a roll call vote. I'm gonna go in alphabetical order like we do. Ms. Alfonso Wells,
No.
Mr. Higgins,
No, I don't want to take it all right. So, okay, input.
Yes.
Ms. Striblin,
Yeah.
Ms. Schwartzwalder, and I'm gonna vote no. I think we can keep this table up. So that fails. I'll give my comments about this. I've had conversations with a number of individuals in this process, and I know there's disagreement about this. Ms. Schwartzwalder and I had a conversation last week, earlier this week, I don't remember when it was, and I think it's evident that we have different opinions of how this money should be spent. And my philosophy has been that this was money that had been set aside for folks to use for projects that were important to them. And you know, I saw our role as really trying to protect the ethics of it, to ensure that money was not being used inappropriately. And I may not have, this would not be, you know, buying tents would not necessarily be something that I would use to spend discretionary money on, but, and I mean, I plan to vote yes on this because this is something that is important to Ms. Alfonso Wells. I will also say that I had another stream of thought and I'm losing it right now, but that's okay. I'll just be quiet for a little bit and maybe come back to it.
Okay, I would just say that, you know, I could have just said we wait to the general fund of Juneteenth per se, right? We've raised money to do different things for Juneteenth. We noticed that that anytime you have an event, people were paying. Anytime you have an event, people were paying money to rent good quality tents. It's not just any tent, it's good quality tents. And we want to be able to have good quality tents and not have to race after any particular organization to borrow their tents. We didn't have any at all. And from what I can see, anytime the borough was having any type of event, they weren't borrowing tents. They were actually purchasing, they were renting. They were renting the tents. And so we saw a need that we took the funds that we raised. We didn't do anything with the funds that we got from the borough last year. We raised the money. We went out knocking on doors to raise money to get tents so we wouldn't have to do this each year, right? And we found that our celebration has grown. It has grown larger than it was before. And once again, you know, this is something that is generational. We are now just celebrating the freedom that African Americans were able to gain in this country after helping to build this country. So this is a celebration that should not just be because we have Black members on council, but it should be something that we do every year, right? And because of that, we wanted to make sure that we have the supplies and the things that we need to have this celebration each year, not only for Juneteenth, but we also want to extend that to the Pride celebration. We were celebrating Pride here, right? They borrowed our tents to use them for the Pride celebration also. This is something, once again, that I think is important. I may be one of the few people that think it's important, but the whole committee, the whole Juneteenth committee, which doesn't just consist of members on council, but members of the community, felt that this was something that was important for us to do, right? We noticed the last time, and some of you that I see in the audience were actually at the Juneteenth celebration, we didn't have enough tents for the last year. Now, the reason I'm talking loudly is so that we can hear, not because I'm yelling or upset. I want to make that clear. I'm not going to be the angry Black woman today. I'm just making sure everybody can hear me, right? I just want to make sure you understand. We have an open field. There is sun that comes down. What if it rains? All of these issues are important to us. We also want to make it look nice. And there was an issue with the age of the tents that we were renting, perhaps. So this was one thing we knew we could take care of, right? And so that's what I wanted to put my funds towards, because my funds are going towards helping the community in my type of way, right? And so this is what I was thinking. I've also looked and talked to different people about other projects. So this is not the only one. I don't think $4,000 is a make it or break it for, the community in terms of buying the tents, right? I didn't think it was going to be a huge, we can't get the tents for Juneteenth. I think it's important that when you have something that's a legacy and you want it to go forward and you want it to be nice, that you do. We were the only ones that thought of, let's not rent each year. Let's buy something so we don't have to compete with other people. Do you know that we had to change the date that we wanted to have our celebration on? Because what? We couldn't get the stage because everybody tries to rent the cheap stage, right? And so looking at those types of things is why we want to make sure we don't have to depend on competing with other organizations and other groups to get the things that we need, right? And you have to do this in a timely fashion, right? When you want to rent the tents, if you want to rent them, whether it's from Braddock, you borrow them, or whether you're trying to rent it from an organization, you're competing with other people and their dates. We are tired of doing that. We want it on a date that's convenient to us, not convenient to the rest of Allegheny County and who didn't get it that particular day, right? And so part of that reason is that now we have the ability to have it on the day we want, which is convenient to Swissvale and not convenient to an arbitrary something else. That was one of the reasons I wanted it, right? I'm also making sure that this is the type of celebration that everybody can come to. Now, I've seen most of the people in this room, I've seen you at the celebration, right? You've been there. You see that we do a lot of work to try to make it look nice, to make it welcoming for everybody. We do lots of different things to do that. And so I just want to say, whether or not I was trying to be transparent in saying that we wanted the money to go to the money could have just gone to the general fund, and I could have taken from the Juneteenth fund any part of it to pay for the tents, relatively speaking. But I knew this was a need that we had, and I wanted to make it transparent that this is what we were buying with it, and that the rest of the money that goes, whatever, this $30 left over, right? It just goes to the general fund of the Juneteenth celebration to help pay for the acts. We have lots of different, this costs money, right? We get $3,000 from the borough, right? It costs $10,000 to $12,000 to put this on. We're a small borough, but we do an excellent job. We were able to raise money for the, what was the Poindexter Park? memorial, was it Mr. Poindexter's memorial, and for fire victims. What we did, we didn't take money out of the fund to do that. We raised that money by having a little silent auction. You know how much the city costs for their Juneteenth celebration? $250,000, right? $250,000. And believe me, they're renting half of those tents, right? They're not putting it. So what I'm saying is my little $4,000 donation from the ARPA funds to go towards Juneteenth is something that's benefiting the whole community, and that we're using it and trying to be transparent, and we're trying to make it that it's something that doesn't just happen once a year, right? And once again, that we're not dependent on other agencies to get the things that we need, the infrastructure that we need in order to put it up. We get our tables and chairs from Woodland Hills, right? And anything that's beyond that, we rent it for however much we rent it for, right? But we're trying to be sustainable, okay? And so that's part of my process. I just wanted to let you know, once again, I'm talking loudly so everybody can hear, and not because I'm angry or upset or yelling at anybody. I just want to make that clear. So that is why we were, I was putting that money towards that.
So I think a couple things. Yes, a couple things. First and foremost, the event that's put on is amazing. It is wonderful, and I'm so excited to have it here in Switzerland. I think it's awesome, and it does cost money. The funds that are in ARPA are no individual member of council's money. So when people say, when I gave my funds, I take objection to it. It is your money that we need to use appropriately. It is your money that you need to have checks and balances. I've yet to see a budget. Are you willing to put the budget online? A budget of what? For Juneteenth. We want transparency? Let's put the budget online.
Well, that's fine, but then everybody put your budget online.
All right.
That's fine, but my point is.
What I'm saying is,
I know.
I'm being accused here of not supporting Juneteenth. I absolutely support Juneteenth, period. I absolutely support Juneteenth. What I do not support is buying something that's free from our neighbors, that they get to go to their funders and say, we're helping other neighborhoods. Please help us buy new tents. You don't think about libraries counting how many people borrow their tents? They are. That's how they get their funding from their funders. It's an effect. And supporting and working with our neighborhood partners is the way we're going to move forward. It's going to break. It is a beautiful field right here. It's a beautiful field. And it's a great space to have these kind of events. And it does rain. Let's get tents. Let's borrow what's available to us for free rather than using taxpayers' money.
First of all, as I didn't say anybody was objecting to Juneteenth. I know everybody thinks it's a great celebration. I'm glad you all think it's a great celebration. I'm not accusing anybody of being anti-Black or anti-Juneteenth at all. All I would say is that I was not the one person that said, how do we distribute these funds? This is how the funds were. We voted on it in council on how to distribute the funds and how the money was going to go. So I'm going along with the rules as they were created. You can't backtrack on a rule and then say, well, you're doing it wrong. I'm doing it as it was created, and I have waited so that I could see what things I thought were appropriate for the money to go to. That was for the section of money that we had the project to. You can't backtrack and then say, oh, well, that's not how you should do it. We voted on it. I'm not doing anything. To be clear, I'm not taking the money from some squirrel fund I have somewhere and saying, oh, now I get to spend it the way I want. I think, you know me, I did not even vote for us to get to pay higher property taxes. I was the only one. I was like, no, not that my vote made a difference, because they still raised my property tax, and you know I didn't like that. I'm probably the cheapest member on this daggone council. Because you know, I sit there and I look at how I pay my bills, and I am not trying to pay a penny more. And things that come for free aren't always free, right? And once again, I'm not giving up my autonomy to have the event when I want to have it, to have good tents. Why am I going to depend on Brandon? Why am I going to depend on them? This is not, we haven't had any argument about it. This is something that I think is for the event that's good. If we want to borrow more tents, then I'm glad that Braddock has some. And so if we need extra, we can go to them for extra. But I know when I want to have my event, on the day I want to have it, I would like some autonomy so that it benefits our neighborhood the days we want to have it. You notice we're not having it on June 19th, which is a Wednesday, right? We've had it on Saturday all the way up until this year when we had to change our date to Sunday, right? That's because of when we could get things, right? So once again, I'm not trying to do this so I can bilk you of your money, because believe me, I am tight-fisted, right? I keep my temperature low, right? In the winter, my temperature is low. Everybody needs to put on a sweater. In the summertime, take your clothes off, right? And throw on the fan or whatever it is. But I try, and you know how I am, well, most of you know how I am. You see what I've said. So I'm not trying to bilk you of your money. I think about it every time. I thought this was a good investment. I still think it's a good investment. And so that's all I'm gonna say.
So I just,
Some of it fires.
say that again.
One of the fires is listed.
Okay,
It is possible to change if you just give us a little bit, correct?
Well, you can't.
I don't understand. I mean, there's what are you asking? How these funds are distributed? What is the process for us?
So let's put out for a vote, and there's a vote, even though you had a previous policy.
I think he means to change the policy.
Probably you can't, you go forward.
But I mean, put the agenda for that?
It would have to be an agenda item, maybe come up with an alternative proposal. So just some comments to kind of try to bring us in here. I think it's important, Kevin, in particular, what you said about the ability to nuance that your issue is not the celebration at all. And I think I appreciate you saying it's an issue of how the funds are being spent. And there's disagreement, and it's okay that there's disagreement on that. And I think it's important that when if folks vote for or against those things, it's not a personal attack on any particular person. It is on the way in which your kind of perspective of fiscal fiduciary responsibility and kind of what other council's members have as well. Again, I think it's important to restate that point. Yes, you can. I was going to invite others who haven't spoken.
Well, you're just asking to spend $4,000, but Mr. Miser wanted to do something for one Nicholson Community Center. It was the most grandiose idea that anybody has ever seen to use discretionary funds. And that leads me to believe this is so hard for you to want to pay $4,000, but other people's ideas is just it's just so magical. So it is leading me to believe that it can be something a little more than just what the use is for it.
I don't agree with that, Mr. Blake. I don't agree with that. I think in particular, I mean, these are, as they say, apples and oranges. I think the issue for Mr. Miser was that his presentation there's a lot more detail into it. I mean, up until yesterday, we didn't see any quotes for what the tents were. I think this is why, Mr. Miser created the document that he did, so that there was a paper trail, that there was evidence of that. So again, I don't see them as one and the same in there. Again, that's your opinion, and I have a different opinion, but I just kind of give a counter narrative there. I do think that that's what separates those two projects.
I do want to make clear that when I was asked how much was being spent where, I was on vacation, so I didn't check my email. When I checked it and saw it, I was like, oh, I provided information.
She did.
So I wasn't trying to hide it. I did provide the information. And I was on vacation. I was trying to stay away from my although I was on vacation, I did make sure I made the meeting clear. So I did turn on my devices for that one meeting, but then.
Yeah, and in fact, I did not mean for that to be a slam that we just saw yesterday, but it was Josh, his packet was much more thorough in it, which I think created, fewer hurdles or obstacles for, I mean, in particular, I mean, it's been Kevin and Brittany that have been asking the most questions about ARPA spending, and I think they were more satisfied with some of those things. So again, I'm trying to keep this not a personal attacks, in this process, so. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I thought our ARPA funds were for permanent, something that is more permanent than just buying an object. And that's just my understanding. And if that is the way council wants to go, or the understanding of that's the way our ARPA funds are supposed to be spent, why not look into something more permanent like an amphitheater or a permanent stage? That would satisfy a lot of the, you have to move your date because of the Allegheny County stage is not available. And it's something more permanent that the whole community can use, basically. And that, I think that is where we are kind of missing these ARPA funds, is that we are giving them to individual organizations that doesn't have a permanent effect and a long permanent effect on the community.
Yes.
So am I off the mark here? Is that something that we all decided on? Like it shouldn't just benefit a small group. And I'm not saying Juneteenth is a small group. I'm just saying it's a one-day celebration. And, just like Community Days is a one-day celebration. It has a lasting effect on the community, but are funds not better used for something more permanent?
Well, I think the difference is that we make permanent, right? Because I think my idea is that this was for something that for me is permanent, because it's, I mean, I didn't even think of what permanent was, because it didn't seem like with a lot of the way the money has gone to different places wasn't necessarily permanent in that sense. So in my sense, Juneteenth is a perpetual celebration that should be permanent or a long sustained.
I'd like to say something, just because we're talking a lot about opinions in this, and I want to read to you what our proposal said. So these were the stipulations we said. Dividing the remaining funds 8 ways for each elected official to have some autonomy on community projects. A, each council member and mayor would create a budget and plan for $45,000. B, and this is probably the one you're thinking of, funds must be used in a manner that directly benefits Swissville residents. That was the language that we said, must directly benefit Swissville residents. C, elected officials were encouraged to use the data from Appendix 1, which was the survey that we put out to the public a number of years ago. D, plan proposals, ideas will be uploaded to the website. E, multiple elected officials may pool funds together if they want to focus on a larger project, like we did with the parklet, Church Street. And F, all funds do not need to be used in one project. Multiple smaller projects are acceptable. Those were the language of the agreement. So the language of permanent was never used, but it was the direct. I mean, I think we talked about opportunities that were transformative and things like that would have an impact. I think we use that word a lot, but specifically to the language of the proposal was directly benefits Swissville residents, which, I mean, this would apply under that.
And I just want to be clear, right, that this is not personal, right? I don't have anything against anybody that has, we don't all have the same ideas, to be clear. I don't have the same ideas with my husband sometimes. I live with him, right? At least as of right now, right? But yes, I don't have anything against anybody that brings up something that's different from my ideas. I want to be clear that this to me is not personal. It's just our ideas being flushed out. I don't want you to think that like, oh my God. No, it's we all have different ideas and different ways of looking at it. And so
Unless someone has, a response or discussion that brings new information, I'm gonna invite us to call vote. Okay, let's do a roll call vote, just to ensure that we have this recorded. Ms. Alfonso Wells, and this is the motion, yes, this is for the motion on the table. Yeah, main motion. So again, if you don't mind saying it.
Aye.
Ms. Stribling? Ms. Swartzwelder?
No.
And I will also be an aye. So the motion passes. So let's keep down.
Here we go.
Let's move down to motion 2 on this, also on ARPA. If someone is willing to make that motion.
Oh, sure I will. I move to approve the donation of $10,000 of council discretionary funds to SEDCO.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
Okay, motion is on the table, just some points of clarification, since it's not in the language of the motion explicitly. These funds were, as according to the proposal, were to provide money to SEDCO to give a second run at their curb appeal grant program. I know I wasn't at the meeting last week. My daughter was being promoted from 8th grade, and so I was there with her instead. So thank you, Ms. Alfonso Wells, for running the meeting. But I know there was a little bit of confusion, just to clear the record on that. These funds are not matched by SEDCO. They go directly to SEDCO so that the homeowner can apply for these projects. The homeowner pays out of pocket for whatever their said curb appeal project is that has been approved by SEDCO. And then SEDCO, once everything is in order, inspected, receipts, paper trail, all that stuff, SEDCO will then reimburse up to 50% up to $1,000 of said project. For businesses? Oh. Got it. Thank you. 500 for homeowners, 1,000 for business owners. So that, just to kind of throw that out there, SEDCO is not doing any matching. The matching is basically the matching portion comes from the resident or business owner. So is there any other questions or discussion on that?
Yeah, I just have to think that's an amazing idea. I think also that's going to benefit the residents of Swissvale to beautify their homes, so good idea.
Thank you. Ms. Ward, can you tell me, you said you brought up how many people were the recipient of those grants the first time around?
We had 24 applicants. We gave out 19
Great, great.
And those were mostly for steps, windows, and storm doors, tearing down shrubs, putting up fences. They made it. They were see what they did. When people are required, they pay up front, and
Yes.
then we reimburse half of the cost. So, if we save up to $500 for someone who's a homeowner, and they pay $150, so I'm not sure how many grants we will be giving out, number, but $10,000.
Yes. And if they were to pay $1,200, they still only get back $500. It's not matching full. Yes, there's a cap. Any discussion?
And when is this curb appeal program starting?
Yeah, when we get approval. There's actually a little more that's going to this failure.
Very good. So everybody read this Swissvalian to find out the details.
And we have a website, so everything is done online, either through with our Swissvale SEDCO at Gmail, or we can, people they need to, will be at, we will be a team and community activities.
Looking forward to see. Great.
To the, as this goes on, the SEDCO work with the hearing meeting, will give an update, so you'll update it on.
Wonderful.
I'll be part of the SEDCO.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Great. Y'all ready to vote? Okay, let's do roll call vote again. Ms. Alfonso Wells?
Aye.
Ms. Stribling?
Aye.
Ms. Swartzwelder?
Aye.
And I likewise am an aye. Motion carries. Great. Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Setco, for all your hard work in the community.
Thank you.
All right, let's move down to the memorandum of understanding category item D.
I move to approve a memorandum of understanding with Braddock Hills Borough and Edgewood Borough to complete a sanitary sewer improvement and source flow reduction project in the N47 9-mile run sewer shed. The cost to Swissvale shall be approximately $24,000.
All right, motion's on the table. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move down to resolutions.
I move to approve resolution 24-06, submit an application in the amount of $250,000 to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Greenways, Trails and Recreation Program for improvements at Memorial Park.
Second.
All right, motion's on the table. Any discussion? Mr. Bakshi, do you think it is potentially likely that we could be, receive both of these since they're going to the same organization? This one and the next one?
Yeah, I talked to Senator Costa about how to apply for this. He encouraged me to submit two separate.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I want to see more of our council, some of that borough vouchers. Okay, any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the motion as read, resolution 24-06, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Let's move on to the second of these resolutions.
I move to approve resolution 2407 to submit an application in the amount of $250,000 to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program for recreational amenities at the new municipal building. Second.
Any discussion? I know we talked about this before, things like plaza, basketball court, stuff that we pulled off to try to get lower bids. Hopefully we can fund it in other ways. All in favor of approving the motion as read, resolution 24-07, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That is our business for the evening. Let's move down to reports. We'll begin with the COG report. Ms. Strickland.
Yes, so the Turtle Creek Valley COG met, Thursday, March 23rd, at 6:30 p.m. at the Turtle Creek Valley Board Community Center. I wasn't in attendance because I wasn't in town. They didn't have a forum. A few things the only things that was really discussed, and related to Swissvale was to date, we were part of the Joint Verizon contract renewal, which includes 10 municipalities in the COG, and those are all been fully joined for that project. June 6th, we have a managers meeting. June 6th is the managers meeting, location to be determined. August 8th, police chief meeting at 1:30 p.m. Our next meeting, because we're out for the summer now, will be September 26th in the Turtle Creek World Community Room. And I was also grateful for Amanda for sharing our Juneteenth celebration with all of the COG, so they're well aware that our Juneteenth celebration is going to be on Sunday, June 23rd. And that's all that I have.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Any questions for Ms. Strickland? All right, let's move on to the Connect report. Ms. Alfonso Wells.
Yes, I'm waiting for them to give me a copy of the report so that we can put it somewhere and everybody knows exactly what's going on. But I think a lot of people are on vacation, so they didn't give it to me in time. So there is that. They are continuing on with their electric projects. They're continuing on with their sustainability projects. We've had some executive board meetings that have gone on talking about the organization and how much people pay to belong to the organization. Just, kind of the nitty-gritty stuff that nobody really wants to hear about, but that we have to sit through, which is fantastic. They have a training that's going on June 25th and 6th in order to improve communications between communities, and I will be attending that all day. There you go. With the things I do for Swissvale, I'm telling you, I do a lot. Yes, and so that is it. They will also be, they're also doing Connect TV. So you will be able to see the things that Connect is doing specifically with your borough and with the surrounding communities. And you will be able to look that up and probably see me somewhere in there. You're like, I know that one. And that is my Connect report.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Alfonso Wells. We're gonna move to the president report. I'm gonna be tapping on some other people. We'll go back to you, Ms. Alfonso Wells. I mean, we've talked a lot about Juneteenth, but is there anything, anything else that you would like to share with us about the details of the event?
Yes, so we are beginning to shut down how many more vendors we can take, but if you still want to be a vendor at Juneteenth, please look at our borough website and you can fill out the online form and become a vendor or a sponsor, probably up until the end of next week. We do have a memorial book that we are putting out, and we are looking at memorializing Black Swissvalians in the book. So if you have somebody that you would like to memorialize as, you know, maybe a veteran or business owner or just a person, your grandma, that you think she's the bomb, you can put her in the book, right? So that would be wonderful, but you need to get that to me soon. I would say no later than, let me see which day we're in, because June 23rd is coming up sooner than we think, right? So if you can get that to me by Monday, the 10th at the latest, we'll be able to get that into the booklet. And yes, and once again, our celebration is June 23rd, Sunday. It is from 12 until 8 p.m. We have some fantastic acts, some wonderful people, excellent vendors, very civic-minded folks that are from Swissvale that will be sitting there giving you all the information you need and want about being a civic-minded Swissvalian. And we have lots of fun because we have a silent auction, we have face painting, we have our musical acts. We're going to have a little tiny job fair for people who are interested in getting a job with the borough. So come on out, we're there for you. And also just a little plug, it is not in June, but in July or July 20th, we have our Swissvale Edible Garden Tour, which is a favorite of mine. So once again, you can get your plants, you can get your you can get your pride on, you can get all kinds of things on. And this is Pride Month, so got my pride up in here. That's right, because we're proud. Yes.
You mentioned
Yes, Vacant Lots is gonna be there, and you get to go to the Vacant Lots project. You'll see them there in one of the tents by me. Like, if you know, you're like, oh, it's by her, right? And you will be able to look and put little stickers and different things on what you think should be done with the different vacant lots in your area, right? So, you know, you may not want to say what you want done in the vacant lot that is too far away from you, but the one that's next to your house, it would be really nice if you say, yeah, I'd like that to be a dog park, or I'd like that to be a pollinator garden. Please make it a sprinkler pad or something like that, right? So this is your opportunity to come out and have your voices heard. Vacant Lots is a group of volunteers and two professors from the University of Pittsburgh and is it Youngstown State. So we have wonderful people working on this. So I urge you to come out and come join us. We also have organizations that will be registering people to vote. So if you're interested in, you should be interested. If you're coming to a meeting like this, you definitely should be interested in voting, and you're probably registered. But make sure all the young people register. Make sure your friend, cousin, uncles, family, whatever. Make sure everybody gets registered to vote. You can come down, you can get lots of information, and it's nonpartisan information. So no one's going to try to convert you to any different party or anything like that. You can come down and you can register to vote so that you can vote in November. Is that it? That's what I have. Thank you.
So I'll take my report back. And I'll see, thanks for those comments. You see how much more thunder from Air Force One we can steal. So I'm there with Sarah. So Sarah got some announcements for us tonight.
I have three announcements. Okay, the first is the first edit of the memory book is done. So there's some deep dive I'm gonna take here in June to add a few things, edit a few things, change a few things around. But the goal is to have the book ready and published, printed by our next anniversary, which is July 29th. Right, this summer. So get online, order your book. They're just $25. It's fantastic if I use it. So yeah, go order yours now. The second one is the Swissvale Mile. The 10th annual Swissvale Mile is coming up. Don't forget to register for that. It's on July 27th. We're looking for sponsors. Yes, we're looking for sponsors. We're looking for participants. Anyone can come out. You can walk, you can run. Yes, you can do both, absolutely. If you sponsor, you get registrations for free, so it's the best of both worlds. And okay, the last thing I wanted to do was share a letter that I received. This is from, it says, Dear Ms. Ansel, on behalf of Birdtown, Pennsylvania, Audubon Society of Western Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania Audubon Council, we are delighted to congratulate your borough on being accepted into our Birdtown program. We are excited to know that you are our 53rd Birdtown community and the first in Allegheny County. So,
Breakers.
So,
Inaugural.
yeah, that's right, that's right.
I like that.
They noted that we meet all the criteria for the green level of their program, and that it'll be, they even say it'll be easy for us to move to the next level by the end of the first year, because they loved our projects that we're already working. So that's exciting, and I have a team of people that have expressed interest, and as they get back to me on what our next steps are, I'll be reaching out to everyone to let them know what the next steps are.
And Sarah, might we perhaps have some Birdtown representation at the Juneteenth celebration?
Perhaps, yes.
There you go. You might learn how to, you too can be a participant in our Birdtown. Make it pop.
I do have like one more thing, but I don't think this would be on your list. So, you know, I'm a fan, I'm bought into the school district. We do a lot of partnership. We're using their space here. We're using their space up on Evans Street. There's just a lot, you know, they've been using our space for softball and baseball down at Memorial Field for their middle school. One of the things that the school district really has, one of our strengths is their theater department. And I just wanted to announce, just congratulate that they were nominated for 7 Gene Kellys. They only won one for costume, which they definitely got deserved. I think they got snubbed on a couple other categories personally. But if you have any interest in participating with this part of the district, this Saturday, they're having their alumni cabaret. And it's a great event. They have, so many alumni who've been in past musicals come sing some songs. All the seniors who will have just graduated effective 2 days before that are part of the theater program often prepare music. So it's tickets are $10 ahead of time, $15 at the door, 7 o'clock at the high school. I'll be there, but I just wanted to give a little plug and shout out to that program because they do a lot of really great work. I'm done. Let's move on to the mayor's, what's left of the mayor's report.
I've got it. Okay. Thank you for that. So I would like to mention Swissvale Rotary. Tracy, would you like to speak a bit about Swissvale Rotary turning 96 next week?
Yeah. Swissvale Rotary turns 96 next, a week from tomorrow, the June 13th. We're pushing forward to our 100th anniversary. Our calendar years, or our year starts on July 1st. So these are my last days as president of the club. Rebecca Burkett is our incoming president. And happy birthday, Rotary.
Thank you, Rotary, for doing such wonderful things in Swissvale for 96 years.
Can you please explain what Rotary is?
Go ahead, President.
So Rotary International is the largest philanthropic organization in the world. We are one club of thousands of clubs. We have 1.2 million members across the world, whose motto is service above self. It's basically a service organization, and our club always looks to do projects in Swissvale. We fund lots of programs for the library every year.
We find, some nice things for the senior center every year. We have been involved with Woodland Hills Backpacks of Hope. That's the, weekend, meals for students that are underprivileged. And, we have worked Tyler, thank you, as it for, the Church Street Park Blend that we helped to fund a lot of the equipment. And, so basically service organization, we're always looking for members. And we've been here for a long time. You'll see us in the memory book and get a little bit more information. If you want any more historical information, we're about to launch a website. So we'll let you know when that's on.
And we meet weekly at 12:30 Thursdays, Pub in the Park. If you'd like to join us, you can stop on by, even if it's not to join the club, come by and enjoy some fellowship and lunch. Just wanted to mention the farmer's market. We're in our 11th season this year. We opened on Saturday, June 1st. It was a wonderful day in the neighborhood, and we will continue every Saturday from 9 to 1 right here at Dixon until October. So come and enjoy the Swissvale Farmers Market every Saturday. And not too early to talk about National Night Out since I have nothing else to talk about. I'm encouraging groups to have block parties on Tuesday, August 4th, I believe it is. It's the first Tuesday in August. All you have to do is get your block together, and August 6th, write a letter to council to ask to close the block and to allow you to have a block party. So yeah, think about that because you have another month before you decide to do that and ask to have this. Questions, comments, or concerns?
My block has the best block party ever, and it's not actually my block. I'm on Scheuer. They invite us over to Hayes, and they have a fantastic little thing, and we love seeing our police and fighters come over, and the children love it, and everybody gets out and we rub elbows and be kind to one another, and we have a really good time. So if you could do that for your block, that's amazing. And you can always come to somebody else's too. You can come over. We welcome you. You can come over to Hayes Street. It'll be on the 6th. We usually have something. We actually plan our stuff out. So best block party ever. I mean, I'm sure there's more. I'm just telling you what I know. That's it.
And that's fine.
All right, thank you, Mayor Schwartzman. Let's move on to the mayor's report, Mr. Bakshi.
Thanks, sir. A couple things. The borough building will be closed on June 19th in observance of Juneteenth. That will not affect the garbage and recycling collection. That is at the request of the employees. They perform work on Saturday. There will be no street sweeping that day. Garbage and recycling will be the yes.
So Wednesday.
So there'll be no change that week. So the council meeting next month, we'll have our regular agenda meeting, we assume on June 26th, but the council meeting is scheduled for July 1st, Monday night here on July 1st. That was to avoid going into the July 4th holiday on Thursday that week. Our building committee did meet yesterday to discuss our next steps with the borough building project. We will be moving forward, talking to four architects. They're doing some low value engineering, looking at possibly rebidding this project later this summer. And if we can then basically make a decision from there on whatever comes in at. And we did look at some alternatives in our meeting yesterday, but the building committee suggested we go forward with the plan as is and rebid it each once to see where the numbers are. And then again, we'll try to find a different alternative. And lastly, and I see Mr. Bush just walked in. I'm sure he's excited about this. I did receive notification from Pennsylvania Walk Works that we received a $30,000 grant to complete an active transportation plan. Mr. Bush gave a Butch gave a presentation a couple months ago about this, about what you can do with the active transportation plan. And that grant was approved on Monday. So within either next month or the month after, we'll come back to council with some suggestions to form a committee to guide the plan. We need to hire consultants. This has to be done by June 30th, 2025. So this has to move pretty quickly to have the plan adopted by June 30th. So I am meeting with the employees of Walkworks 2 weeks from now to go over the additional things we have to do, find out some information from her on how this moves forward, and then, like I said, I'll be back either in July or August with the next steps and get council to appoint the committee, and then at some point hire a consultant. Well, from RFP on. One of the things I want to find out is if they have a canned RFP, we could just make changes to suit us to show the scope of work. What we put in the application for this was Monongahela Avenue, South Braddock Avenue, and links to Dixon School, Collingwood Park, and Memorial Park to establish safe routes, basically for bicyclists and pedestrians, and all the streets in between. So we will be there'll be more to come on this in the next 2 months. We'll be working on this for next year. That's my review.
All right, let's move on to the Borough Engineers Report. Mr. Ziskow.
Mr. President, beyond what I have in my written report, I have nothing else to report.
Thank you. Water Authority Report. Ms. Crombie Collins.
All right, my written report is on file with the borough, so I'll just give you some highlights from the Water Authority Board meeting on May 28th. There was an addition to our agenda, and Brian Bianchi was named Executive Director, replacing Doug Camont, whose last day as Executive Director was May 30th. Our software updates continue. About 2,500 delinquent notices went out on May 24th. It's the first step. We call that the yellow notice. Historically, 60% of those notices get paid in full. There is a notice on the borough website, or on the authority website. This summer, there's going to be an update to the customer service portal. Right now, it's being tested to provide customers additional information on their accounts. And testing will soon begin on having service orders for the field teams, inspectors' iPads to eliminate paper. The Dalgate Road Water Line Replacement Project in the amount of $23,185 was awarded to Lawson Excavating. The 2023 Water Quality Report, also known as the Consumer Confidence Report, is now available at the Robinson Boulevard office or online. Last year, Mr. Ansel questioned our lead numbers. Our lead numbers have not changed. Samples were done by consumers, and a sample was not correctly taken that skewed the lead numbers. A second sample was requested and verified the error, but the DEP does not allow for corrections, so the original sample value continues, and that's part of the reason the lead number didn't change. An executive session was conducted at that meeting, and as always, if you have or see any water issues, please contact WPJWA Customer Service 412-243-6200. Just a couple of additional updates. There was a change to the board. The Penn Hill seat previously held by John Vento was appointed to Dodie Smith. I understand she was the secretary in the Penn Hill School District for many years. And on June 1st, several members of the board took a tour of the authority's major facilities with Mr. Bianchi and the department. And that's my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Let's move on to our solicitor's report, Mr. McTiernan.
Yes, last meeting I reported that the Secretary of the Public Utility Commission had issued a letter indicating approval of the consent agreement and order on the replacement of Washington
Creek Bridge, who's gonna be responsible. That covers who's gonna be responsible for various expenses. I received notice from the Norfolk Southern on Monday that the plans being prepared by Michael Baker engineering firm are nearly complete. So those will be submitted for final approval with PUC, so the process is moving on pretty briskly. That's all I did, right? We need to from here on.
Wonderful, thank you, for that. Let's move on. I mean, there are now a lot of announcements. Are there any other announcements need to be made? All right, hearing none, I'd love to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
At 8:31 p.m.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's all.